Nevada is not just about casinos and neon lights. It's home to some of the richest families with some of the most insane success stories. One of them literally builds spacecraft for NASA, while another one has turned orange chicken into a money-printing machine. And we are only getting started as we take you to this jaw-dropping countdown. Number 10. The Osman family, Fuad and Aaron Osman. If Nevada has a hidden brain trust, it sits just outside Reno, and it belongs to Fate and Aaron Osman. While Silicon Valley chases apps and Vegas chases tourists, the Osmonds are building spacecraft, defense systems, and classified technology that quietly plugs Nevada into America's national security backbone. Their story begins far from Sparks, Nevada. Both of them arrived in the U.S. as Turkish graduate students, with Fate studying engineering and Aaron studying business at the University of Nevada in Reno. They didn't have any inherited empire or venture capital hype, just degrees, grit, and timing. FOD joined Sierra Nevada Corporation, SNC, in 1981 as an engineering intern. 13 years later, in 1994, the couple acquired the company when it had roughly 20 employees. Music. What followed was one of Nevada's most underappreciated industrial expansions. Today, SNC employs over 3,000 engineers, scientists, and specialists across 30-plus global locations. With its headquarters firmly planted in Sparks, the company has grown through nearly 20 strategic acquisitions into a serious aerospace and defense contractor working with NASA, the U.S. Department of Defense, and allied governments, often on programs the public never hears about. That discretion is part of the power. The Osmonds' most visible creation is the Dream Chaser spaceplane, a reusable spacecraft selected by NASA for ISS cargo missions. Unlike capsule-based competitors, Dream Chaser lands on runways, a throwback to shuttle-era thinking with modern efficiency. It's functional, elegant, and deeply Osmond-coded. Practical innovation over spectacle. In 2021, they doubled down by spinning out Sierra Space, a $3 billion-plus commercial space company focused on space stations, orbital infrastructure, and future habitation. This wasn't a vanity spinoff. It was a positioning move into what analysts estimate could become a $1.4 trillion space economy. What makes their Nevada influence stick, though, is local commitment. The Osmonds have poured millions into UNR, funding the Osmond Center for Entrepreneurship, music, the Osmond Institute for Global Studies, and aerospace focus that quietly feed Nevada's STEM pipeline. In short, their wealth doesn't just pass through the state, it upgrades it. But while the Osmonds build technology that leaves Earth, our next Nevada family mastered something even harder, feeding millions every single day at scale without ever losing control. Number 9, the Churn family, Andrew and Peggy Churn. Only a select few business empires are as instantly recognizable or as underestimated as Panda Express. And behind that orange-lit counter is the Churn family, quietly operating one of the most successful privately held restaurant companies in the world, with Nevada playing a strategic supporting role. Andrew Churn was born in Taiwan and came to the U.S. as a math and engineering student. Peggy Churn, who is also a Taiwanese, trained as an engineer before becoming one of the most operationally sharp co-CEOs in American food history. Together, they founded Panda Inn in 1973, followed by Panda Express in 1983. What started as a mall experiment turned into a juggernaut. Today, Panda Restaurant Group generates over $6 billion in annual revenue, operates 2,400-plus restaurants globally, and remains entirely private, controlled through the Churning Family Trust. No shareholders to appease, no quarterly earnings pressure, just scale, discipline, and control. Nevada enters the picture not as a branding backdrop, but as a strategic node. The Churns maintain a residence in Henderson and in 2018 made headlines by acquiring the former Mandarin Oriental on the Las Vegas Strip for approximately $214 million, rebranding it as the Waldorf Astoria Las Vegas. That move marked a sharp pivot from fast food margins to luxury real estate on one of the most valuable strips of land in the world. Operationally, Panda Express has deep roots in the state. With 70-plus locations across Nevada and over 1,100 employees, the company is consistently ranked among Nevada's top workplaces. UNLV's hospitality program feeds directly into Panda's management pipeline, blurring the line between corporate growth and workforce development. And then there's the product, Orange Chicken, a single menu item that arguably became the most profitable dish in fast casual history. It funded expansion, bought optionality, and allowed the Churns to diversify into hospitality without ever going public. The next generation is already inside the machine, with the Churn daughters overseeing investments, philanthropy, and leadership development. This is not just a brand empire drifting toward dilution. It's a family-controlled system that still prints cash. And now we move from feeding the today that founding philosophy has grown into something almost impossible to comprehend. The Procter & Gamble portfolio spans more than 65 brands, operating in approximately 180 countries, reaching roughly 5 billion people. That's not a typo. 5 billion. Two-thirds of humanity uses at least one of their products. The combined annual revenue exceeds $80 billion. The company employs nearly 100,000 people worldwide. But these numbers, as staggering as they are, don't capture the real story. The real story is in your home, in your routines, in the unconscious choices you make every single day. Walk through your house right now and start counting. That laundry detergent, that toothpaste, that shampoo, the razor in your shower, the dish soap by your sink, the paper towels on your counter, the diapers in the nursery, the fabric softener in your laundry room, the air freshener in your bathroom, the body wash you used this morning. Chances are, at least half of these carry the invisible signature of Procter & Gamble. But here's what makes their empire different from the tech giants or the retail conglomerates that dominate headlines. They didn't build this through disruption or displacement. They built it through acquisition and transformation, through seeing potential in established brands and elevating them to new heights. They understood that trust already existed in the marketplace, embedded in brands that consumers had learned to rely on. Their genius was recognizing which brands deserved that trust and which could be made worthy of it. Their acquisition strategy follows a pattern. They target categories where quality and trust matter most. Personal care, home care, health and hygiene. The intimate spaces of daily life where people want reliability, not experimentation. They look for brands with heritage, with loyal customers, with reputations built over decades. Then they invest. Research and development, quality control, distribution networks, marketing that doesn't scream but whispers, reminding you that the brand you already trust is exactly what you need. Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore 10 brands from their portfolio. These aren't just products. They're pieces of a larger puzzle, each one representing a different facet of how this family understood and shaped consumer culture. From the everyday essentials you barely notice to the titans that redefined entire categories, each brand tells part of the story. We'll count them down from the foundational products that keep your household running to the cultural institutions that have shaped generations. Some will surprise you. Others might make you realize just how deeply this family's vision has woven itself into the fabric of your life. By the time we reach number 1, you'll understand that this isn't just a business story. It's a story about how trust becomes currency, how quality becomes legacy, and how one family's philosophy quietly reshaped what it means to be a modern consumer. Let's begin with the brands that form the foundation, the ones you might overlook but absolutely can't live without. Number 10. Dawn. Look under your kitchen sink right now. There's a good chance you'll find a bottle with a distinctive blue liquid inside. Dawn dish soap isn't flashy. It doesn't promise to revolutionize your life or make bold claims about transforming your kitchen. It just works, quietly and reliably, exactly the way you need it to. Dawn was created in 1973, not by Procter & Gamble, but emerging from their own laboratories as an answer to a specific problem. Consumers wanted a dish soap that could cut through grease without harsh chemicals that would damage their hands. The formula they developed became legendary not just in kitchens, but in the most unexpected places. When the Exxon Valdez oil spill devastated Alaska's coastline in 1989, wildlife rescue teams faced a crisis. How do you clean oil from the delicate feathers of seabirds without causing more harm? They turned to Dawn. The same properties that cut through baked-on lasagna grease proved gentle enough and effective enough to save thousands of birds. Since then, Dawn has been used in virtually every major oil spill cleanup operation, donating hundreds of thousands of bottles to wildlife rescue efforts. This is the Procter & Gamble philosophy in action. Create a product so good at its core function that it finds uses you never imagined. The company didn't acquire Dawn, they created it, but it represents their approach to every brand in their portfolio. Excellence in the unglamorous corners of life matters just as much as excellence anywhere else. Today, Dawn commands roughly 30% of the dish soap market in North America. It's sold in more than 50 countries, but its legacy isn't measured just in market share. It's measured in the fact that when wildlife rescuers face their worst crises, they reach for the same blue bottle you have under your sink. Number 9. Bounty. There's a reason the tagline stuck in your head. The quicker picker upper. Bounty paper towels, introduced in 1965, didn't invent the category, but they redefined what consumers should expect from it. Before Procter & Gamble acquired the brand in its early years and invested heavily in its development, paper towels were utilitarian products. They soaked up spills, more or less. They tore easily. They left lint. Consumers accepted these limitations because they didn't know alternatives were possible. Bounty changed that calculation by introducing paper towels that were genuinely more absorbent, more durable, and more efficient than anything else on the market. The company invested millions in research to engineer a paper structure that could hold more liquid without falling apart. They introduced quilted patterns that added strength without sacrificing softness. These weren't minor improvements. They were fundamental innovations in a category most companies viewed as mature and unchangeable. The marketing was equally revolutionary. Those side-by-side comparisons showing Bounty outperforming competitors weren't just advertising. They were demonstrations that consumers could replicate in their own homes. Procter & Gamble understood that seeing is believing, and that trust built on verifiable performance would last longer than trust built on clever slogans. Today, Bounty holds approximately 40% of the U.S. paper towel market. It's one of the most recognized brands in the category, present in millions of homes across North America and expanding globally. Walk into almost any kitchen, and you'll find that familiar package with the red and white design. The legacy of Bounty is simple. It proved that even in categories where consumers thought they knew what to expect, there was room for genuine innovation. Not innovation for its own sake, but innovation that made daily life measurably better. Number 8. Gain. Open a bottle of Gain laundry detergent, and you're immediately transported. That distinctive scent, loved by millions and instantly recognizable, has become more than a product feature. It's become part of how people define clean. Gain entered the market in 1969 as Procter & Gamble's answer to a specific consumer desire. People didn't just want their clothes to be clean. They wanted them to smell clean, to carry that fresh from the laundry scent throughout the day. While other detergents focused primarily on cleaning power, Gain balanced effectiveness with olfactory appeal. The brand faced a crowded market dominated by Tide, Procter, and Gamble's own flagship detergent. But rather than compete directly, Gain carved out its own identity. It became the choice for consumers who viewed laundry as more than a chore, who took genuine pleasure in the sensory experience of fresh-smelling clothes and linens. This emotional connection proved remarkably durable. Procter & Gamble's stewardship of Gain demonstrates their portfolio strategy. They don't force every brand to compete for the same consumer. Instead, they allow different brands to appeal to different needs and preferences, even when those brands share the same parent company. Gain and Tide can coexist because they serve different emotional territories within the same functional category. The brand has expanded far beyond its original powder detergent. Gain now includes liquid detergents, scent boosters, fabric softeners, dryer sheets, and even dish soap and household cleaners. The scent has become a franchise unto itself, with multiple variations allowing consumers to find their perfect version of fresh. Market share numbers tell part of the story. Gain commands roughly 15% of the U.S. laundry detergent market. But the real measure of its success is cultural. People don't just use Gain. They identify with it, forming what researchers call brand loyalty that transcends rational cost-benefit analysis. The legacy of Gain represents the family's understanding that commerce isn't purely functional. People don't just buy products to solve problems. They buy them to feel a certain way, to express identity, to create the sensory environment they want to inhabit. Excellence, in this view, means delivering not just clean clothes but the emotional satisfaction that comes with them. These three brands, Dawn, Bounty, and Gain, represent the foundation. They're not glamorous. They don't generate headlines or inspire think pieces about disruption. But they're essential, trusted, and profitable. They demonstrate that building an empire doesn't require revolutionizing every category. Sometimes it just requires making something work better than anyone thought possible. Then earning trust one household at a time. Number 7. Febreze. In 1998, Procter & Gamble introduced a product that seemed almost too good to be true, a spray that could eliminate odors rather than just masking them. Not cover up, eliminate. The chemistry behind it was genuine. Molecules that actually trapped and neutralized odor-causing compounds. But convincing consumers required more than science. It required changing how people thought about freshness itself. Febreze represented a category that didn't quite exist before its launch. Air fresheners masked smells with perfume. Cleaning products removed dirt but didn't address lingering odors in fabrics and carpets. Febreze occupied the space between, offering a solution to a problem people had accepted as unsolvable. That couch that smells like dog, those curtains that carry last night's cooking, the gym bag that never quite recovers. Febreze promised to handle all of it without washing, without scrubbing, just by spraying and waiting. The initial launch nearly failed. Early marketing positioned Febreze as an odor eliminator for truly offensive smells, which meant admitting your home smelled bad. Consumers weren't ready for that level of honesty. Procter & Gamble pivoted, repositioning Febreze as part of a regular freshening routine, something you use because you care about your home, not because you're desperate to fix a problem. The shift worked. Sales climbed steadily as consumers discovered they could refresh spaces between deep cleanings. Today, Febreze has expanded into a product line worth billions globally: fabric sprays, air fresheners, car vent clips, small spaces deodorizers, laundry additives. The brand operates in more than 100 countries. But its real achievement wasn't creating new products. It was creating new behaviors, new expectations about what fresh means and how to achieve it. Number 6. Olay. Some brands define generations. Olay is one of them. Originally launched as Oil of Olay in 1952 by a South African chemist named Graham Wolfe, the brand became synonymous with approachable, effective skincare long before the prestige beauty industry made moisturizer a luxury item. Procter & Gamble acquired Olay in 1985 for $1.5 billion, a bold bet on the personal care category at a time when the company was known primarily for household products. The acquisition marked a strategic shift. They weren't just managing brands anymore. They were building a portfolio that touched every aspect of consumers' daily lives, including the intimate ritual of skincare. Under Procter & Gamble's stewardship, Olay transformed from a single product into a comprehensive skincare system. The company invested heavily in dermatological research, developing formulations that competed with luxury brands at a fraction of the price. They introduced Regenerist in 2000, a line featuring peptides and other anti-aging ingredients typically found in products costing 3 or 4 times as much. The message was clear. Effective skincare shouldn't require a luxury budget. The democratization of skincare became Olay's defining characteristic. While prestige brands sold aspiration and exclusivity, Olay sold results that were accessible to the middle class. Clinical studies backed their claims. Dermatologists began recommending Olay products alongside or instead of luxury alternatives. The brand maintained premium positioning within the mass market while remaining fundamentally approachable. Olay's global reach is staggering. The brand generates more than $2.5 billion in annual sales, operating in over 80 countries. In China alone, where skincare commands fierce consumer loyalty, Olay has become one of the most trusted brands in the category. This success reflects more than good marketing. It reflects genuine product innovation guided by consumer research and scientific rigor. The legacy of Olay under Procter & Gamble reveals a crucial aspect of their philosophy. Quality doesn't have to be expensive. Trust can be built through consistent performance at accessible price points. And innovation matters most when it serves the many, not just the few who can afford luxury. These brands, Febreze and Olay, show the family's ability to transform good ideas into category leaders. They didn't just acquire products. They reimagined what those products could become, investing in research, repositioning for maximum appeal, and building consumer trust through verifiable performance. This pattern of transformation would repeat again and again, reaching its apex in the brands still to come.